Hey everyone, and welcome to this explainer. Today, we're taking a super practical, honestly kind of eye-opening journey into one of the most famous business fables out there, Spencer Johnson's Who Moved My Cheese? Look, if you've ever felt completely overwhelmed by sudden shifts in your career, your relationships, or just your everyday environment, you are absolutely in the right place. We're going to unpack this brilliant allegory about navigating life's completely unexpected twists and turns. And we'll do it by exploring exactly how we mentally process change. But before we dive into the story itself, I want you to seriously ask yourself, what do you do when life suddenly changes your plans? Do you adapt instantly? Just roll with the punches and move forward? Or do you freeze up, feel totally stressed out, and complain that it's just not fair? Keep that honest, personal reaction right in the back of your mind as we explore the different characters in this fable. Okay, let's dive into this. Part 1. What is the cheese? Let's establish our core metaphors. First up is the titular cheese. So this is a metaphor representing whatever it is you specifically want out of life. That could be landing a killer job, building a really fulfilling relationship, achieving financial stability, or maybe driving your organization's success. Basically, every single time you hear the word cheese in this story, I want you to mentally picture your own personal or professional goals. Next, we have the maze. Now, in the book, the characters navigate a literal maze, but figuratively, it represents where you actually spend your time hunting for that cheese. This could be the company you work for, the industry you're in, or even the community where you live. Establishing this right off the bat makes the setting of our fable highly relatable to your actual everyday environment. Moving on to part 2, the tale of two teams, and their totally different approaches to change. And this brilliantly illustrates our two distinct approaches to life. First, we have Sniff and Scurry. They're simple mice, though they do sport some pretty stylish jogging suits, who just follow pure instinct and act fast. In stark contrast, we have Hem and Haw. They're two complex little people who, they overcomplicate things. They actually found a massive success at a place called Cheese Station C, but they let it create a really dangerous false sense of security. They moved their homes closer and fully expected the cheese to just always be there, taking the whole shebang completely for granted. Which brings us to the inevitable central conflict. Part 3, when the cheese disappears, the moment the comfort zone vanishes. The contrast in their reactions here is just staggering. Sniff and Scurry, they didn't overthink it or cling to some outdated belief about how things should be. They literally just tied up their running shoes and went straight off into the maze in search of new cheese. But Hem and Haw, oh boy, they completely freaked out. Hem actually yelled, "Who moved my cheese? This is so unfair." They had tied their entire happiness to that specific spot. In fact, they lived in such deep denial that they returned to the empty Cheese Station C morning after morning, genuinely expecting the old cheese to magically reappear. It hits the nail on the head regarding how we humans naturally tend to overcomplicate a changing reality. So, how do we fix that? Part 4, overcoming the fear and breaking that cycle. Ha's psychological progression here is actually fascinating. Believe it or not, he begins by just laughing at his own ridiculousness. Then, he realizes, he has to leave his comfortable, outdated beliefs behind. To get motivated, he starts vividly imagining the taste of new cheese. Until finally, and this is the huge step, he physically turns around to embrace the unknown maze and start searching again. As Haw journeys back out into the maze, he leaves these messages written on the walls, really hoping his friend Hem will eventually read them and follow. This is the first of his big insights. If you do not change, you can become extinct. Wow, it's a stark, absolutely powerful warning. Staying in a cheeseless situation is actually way more dangerous than venturing out into the unknown. I want to pause the fable for just a second because Haw writes another question on the wall that I really want you to internalize. Think about this. What would you do if you weren't afraid? Haw realized that the fear he let build up in his own mind was actually so much worse than the physical reality of the maze. So think about your own life right now. What professional or personal changes are you avoiding simply because you're afraid to start looking? Now, what's really interesting about this slide is that in hindsight, Haw figures out something totally fascinating. He reflects on Cheese Station C and admits, the cheese had actually been getting smaller and older and honestly didn't even taste as good right before it vanished entirely. The change wouldn't have been a surprise at all if he had just watched what was happening. So he writes, smell the cheese often so you know when it is getting old. You absolutely have to proactively monitor your environment and anticipate change. As Ha pushes deeper into the maze, despite all the uncertainty, he notices something super surprising. He actually feels good. He realizes that trusting the unknown, even when it's scary at first, brings this incredible surge of energy. He writes down, "When you move beyond your fear, you feel free." He wasn't ruled by fear anymore, and he instantly felt more alive than he had in weeks. To keep his forward momentum going, Hall taps into the power of visualization. He vividly pictures himself eating all the many different kinds of new cheese he likes. He discovers that picturing a better future literally helps pull him physically toward it. "Imagining myself enjoying new cheese leads me to it," he writes. "It's an absolutely essential tool to shift your mental focus away from what you've lost and directly toward what you stand to gain." So that brings us to this next, completely crucial realization. During his journey, Ha actually finds a few small bits of new cheese and brings them all the way back to Hem. But Hem refuses them. Why? Because they aren't what he's used to. So Ha leaves him behind again, understanding a really difficult truth. The quicker you let go of old cheese, the sooner you find new cheese. His strength and momentum only truly grow after he completely, 100%, detaches from the past. And that perfectly sets the stage for our climax. Part 5, Finding Your New Cheese. The ultimate shift in mindset. Right before his final breakthrough, Hall leaves one more profound thought on the wall for us. Old beliefs do not lead you to new cheese. He recognizes that if you cling to outdated ideas, like the belief that change is inherently bad or that your success should just comfortably stay in one place forever, you are actively preventing yourself from discovering new opportunities. By changing what he believed, he completely changed what he did. And then, it finally happens. Just as Ha is fully letting go of the past and enthusiastically adapting to his future, he finds it. Welcome to Cheese Station N. It is literally filled with piles of cheese of all kinds. But listen, here is the absolute best part of the whole shebang. When Ha jumps in to eat a ton of it, he looks over and sees that Sniff and Scurry, those simple-minded mice who didn't overthink the situation, they're already there, and they have been for quite a while. Ha's evolving beliefs finally paid off, rewarding him for embracing the maze. Ha summarizes his entire journey for Hem in what he calls the handwriting on the wall. Basically, it boils down to this. Change happens, so they're going to keep moving the cheese. Anticipate it, monitor it by smelling the cheese often, adapt quickly, let go of the old, move with the cheese, and most importantly, enjoy the adventure and really savor the taste of that new cheese. You know, as the classmates at the reunion realized, this seemingly simple story is a genuinely profound tool for navigating the reality of continual, ongoing change in our work and in our lives. So I want to leave you with one final, provocative thought today. Where are you acting like him in your own life right now? Where are you just sitting around feeling safe or maybe complaining, expecting the old cheese to magically return instead of venturing out into the maze? I really hope this explainer inspires you to lace up your own running shoes, let go of that fear, and go find your new cheese.